Hey guys, Yarshian here. I just want to give you guys a bit of a thing at the beginning of this video, mainly because I didn't realize how the camera was out of focus, and I tried to fix it, but unfortunately I am a little bit too late, as I'm editing this on Thursday, so I can't really refilm, and honestly, it's just a bit too much today. So I'm just letting you guys know, if I am out of focus, I understand, I get it. And I do want to apologize for that in advance. So I do hope that you guys enjoy the video, and I hope to see you all next week for next week's video where I will be in focus. Alright. Living life with a look. You want to know what I hate the most about this new year in particular? Is literally everyone on Twitter who sit there and go all like, oh, this is just 2020 part 2 extreme end game. Dude, just because like it's the new year doesn't mean like the former problems of last year cease to exist. But also I just don't want to hear how it's just like, well, it's just last year, only this year again. Stop it. Shut up. Nobody wants to hear it. So happy new year, everyone. I hope all of you are currently trying to enjoy whatever you can possibly enjoy. I'm just doing this video this week because I've been trying to do it for the past few weeks. And this is going to be me telling you guys my opinions on Season 3 of Is It Wrong to Try and Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon. Did I hate it? Oh man, I did not. By the way, as you guys know, I am an avid reader of this series, and yeah, these were really good. These were really good. And the fact that it turned out the way it did in anime form, I cannot tell you guys my excitement enough. So, I'm going to give you guys just the quick rundown of how this series went, especially for this past season, and then I'm going to give you guys my 1-2 punch on some of the things that had happened, especially spoiler-wise, and then also some of my opinions on some of the characterization that happened in this past season. So first and foremost, this entire season actually wasn't split into any of the smaller arcs. This entire season overtook the entirety of the arc of the Zenos arc, and we'll explain a little bit more about what Zenos are. And I have to admit, this is some of the best animation, and also that came from some of the best writing of Fujino Mori, and I just want to say that right now because it's true. So first and foremost, as we open up with episode 1, it just jumps right into the Zenos arc. We meet Wine, who is this small Zenos dragon girl. She is half monster with human emotions, and that's what they are. Zenos are just basically the culmination of the dungeon creating real human-like emotion, only mixing them with monsters, giving them actual like mental understanding and form. And so when they are born with memories of the sky and all that fun stuff, and that's what relates them all together as Zenos. And there is an entire community of Zenos as we go along with the entirety of episode 2, 3, 4, and 5. It is revealing on what a lot of the things that have been happening in the background, especially when it comes to the Zenos, and also how the leader of the entirety of the Tower of Babel, which was Uranos, and how he culminates into all of this. And Uranos is pretty much the overseer of the Tower of Babel, and also there's a lot more background to how it was built, and how the main, or our first real villain of this series, in my honest opinion, how he kind of plays into that. So in the next several episodes, there is this whole back and forth and conversation of, do Zenos have true real emotions, and how do they relate well to the rest of the world, and how is it that Uranos has been able to keep them in the underground and in secret for so long? And he's only told a few handful of people, and he really does want them to be able to culminate and be able to mingle along with everyone else, but unfortunately the Zenos still look like monsters, and because they look like monsters, they can terrify unify the pretty much the entirety of the Orario community. And so they have to stay underground. And unfortunately, there are forces that are against that. Mainly, one of the gods, I believe it's Kelios or something like that. He's like a Russian god, but like he looks like he's straight out of something from like, I don't know, like an isekai, and it makes me really mad. But he is a dark god, and he is the dark god of the main villain of the entirety of this season, which is Dix, D-I-X, which I think is just, in my honest to God opinion, a great way for none other than Fujino Omori to avoid him being told that he's not allowed to call a person a dick. But anyway, Dix is in a long line in his lineage, the original creator of the Tower of Babel, and thus he has this magic eye which allows him to find this underground passage, which is pretty much a separate passage aside from the main passage that goes up and down the Tower of Babel. So through the secret passage is how they've been doing black market deals with Zenos or Vauvier. I'm not exactly sure how that would be pronounced, but it's how they've been selling monsters and stuff like that, and it's really, really, really bad. And so, in what happens to be the culmination of everyone trying to get Wine and everyone back down to the lower floors so that way they can be protected, there is an insurgency, and then there is just this entirely gruesome like squash fight against all these Zenos, and pretty much Wine gets kidnapped and Belle goes down in order to try and figure out how to continue communicating with them until he found out that Wine was kidnapped, and then he goes to try and save her. There's a bunch of other backstory stuff, but I really do recommend watching this entire series. And then one of the saddest episodes had happened. I will probably skip that for spoilers, but yeah, we'll put a pin for that episode right there. So pretty much what happens after that whole combat, and there's this giant fight between Belle and Dix, and Belle knocks Dix into a wall, which is really, really awesome, but Dix uses curse magic, which lowers his level at a certain point, so at the right moment, right before he gets knocked into the wall, he drops the curse and he goes up a level so that way he could sustain the damage, which is really smart of a villain, because if you can prove certain ways to do things, I think that's really awesome. And then after pretty much him being just a dick, pretty much tries to escape with the rest of his cronies and get lost within the labyrinth. And so what happens after that is that a whole bunch of what happens next is that a whole bunch of these crazed Zenos end up making it up to the surface because of the curse from earlier, and also Belle has to go chasing after Wine after what had happened with her, and pretty much ends up crossing between the Loki Familia and himself, putting himself in a really, really bad situation, both within the public eye and also within the Eye of Eyes. Which then, after what is multiple episodes of this really sad put another pin in that, I swear. But it's this really sad moment, and then just this really, delightful moment, and then them trying to plan a way to get the Zenos back to the underground. However, there is one Zenos in specific, which is Asterius, and he is a Minotaur that's really, really, really strong, and we'll explain him in about a second. So, pretty much after that, they manage to get all the Zenos back into the underground, and then Belle ends up fighting what is a one-armed Asterius after Asterius had gotten his arm chopped off by Eyes from earlier in the series, and then pretty much he's just been in hiding and waiting. And then after what is this true legitimate battle that Freya is kind of setting up, because Freya's been pulling strings in the background because that's just what Freya does. So, Belle fights Asterius and tries to fight as hard as he can, and we're gonna go ahead and jump on into some quick spoilers, because I think that since we're nearing the end of my discussion on what had happened, let's go ahead and jump on into some of the spoilers. So, in the fight between Belle and Dix, it actually started mainly because Wine has a jewel on her head, and if it is removed, she ends up losing herself, and she just reverts to this almost monolith kind of creature that just goes on a rampage, and there's just this huge heartbreaking moment of Belle trying to return that gem back to her, and it is just absolutely insane. She ends up escaping up to the surface, which then Belle ends up having to stand off against the Loki Familia, and then subsequently, after she ends up dying, one of the main characters, Fels, who basically uses a resurrection spell, because Fels is basically a lich, and resurrects Wayne into her original form with the gem still in hand by Belle. And then pretty much this entire plan goes into them trying to get them all back into the underground. And after basically Belle standing off against eyes through this entire section of this whole like trying to play against what is Finn and Hestia, having really softened up as the series had gone on, I really enjoyed that part. And then basically turns around and fights Asterius, who Asterius, as we come to find out, is actually the Minotaur that Belle killed back in episode 5, which is awesome because it tells a relatively awesome story beat. And instead of Asterius not just only pushing Belle's shit in and proving that, you know, you're just not strong enough yet, and this is one of those really great things about DanMachi, is Belle climbing his way to the top, which is something that I always enjoy. Asterius pushes his shit in and then leaves him and says, now we're even. You killed me. We're even now. I gave you what for, and left with an arm still missing, and basically Belle hitting him with his strongest attack, doing virtually nothing. Oh, that is so good. I love that. That is so awesome. I thought that was an awesome fight. It was just so over the top and well written and just super awesomely animated. Oh my god, I thought it was awesome. The series does end with Belle kind of having this bittersweet moment of just like, he's glad that his friend is safe, but he's still lost and he's still looking to be strong. He ends up having this conversation with Eyes and just basically saying, hey, listen, I know we fought, but I still want to be stronger. And she acknowledges that and helps him get stronger, which I cannot wait to see how that happens in season 4. So, we're gonna cut to the part where I'm going to voice some of my appreciations and complaints, because that's how I usually do this. So, my first major appreciation is some of the characterization, especially throughout the entirety of the season. It was very well balanced of how all the characters got their time in the sun, because it didn't feel like it was boring. It was always connected to Belle, so that way it never felt boring. And usually, whenever I watch a lot of other animes where it's just like, well, let's just focus 5, 6, 7 episodes on this other character instead of, you know, the character that we should generally be following, it really bothers me. And I could name an anime, but I'm pretty sure I get shit in the comments for it. But that's one of the things that I don't really appreciate with most animes. And every single time something happens, it always ends up following back to Belle at the end of the episode. So we always get that handful of the character that we want to see grow. The other thing that I really appreciate is the fact that they finally let Hestia like grow the fuck up, because that was always something that had bothered me. And I think it's just due to the nature of what happened in the last episode of season 2, where they were able to come to terms with their emotions, and Hestia has finally grown out of what is this very bratty character and has shown to almost have a very mother-like quality. And this is like one of those really big things that I had a major complaint with in the last season, mainly because of it was there, but it was never experienced. And we finally get to see the true like mentality of how Hestia truly is like this goddess who plans, who is trying to organize, who is very cunning and also very caring of the family she now has. It is something that I truly enjoy, and it's not like she now has this obsessiveness over Belle, because she now gets to see that Belle's a lot happier with a lot of these people, and that was really awesome. We got to also experience some more stuff with both Lily and Welf, mainly because Welf having his own conflictions, especially when it comes to making weapons, and him finally getting over that, especially in this season, and then also Lily kind of still holding on to something inside of her that just doesn't trust a lot of people's actions, and that is a huge part of her character that we finally get to see just beginning to grow and also kind of move off to the side, because it is something that is important to her. She is always very untrusting, but because she is untrusting, she's very keen on having a good plan set ahead of her. Makoto's there. I can't I can't do it, man. I can't lie to you guys, because like Makoto just does feel like she's just there for the ride, and it's not really her fault. It's really the fault of just too many main characters in the same party, and it's very hard for her to get a word in edgewise. She's a very skilled warrior. I think that's just one of those things. She doesn't have to be this really big thing, quite honestly. I think she's good for the party. She rounds them out in combat style, and she's just there to help. I think that's really what I would say is just her characterization. Is that bad? Is that good? I couldn't possibly tell you, but it's just one of those complaints that I will always have. It's just Makoto doesn't get used as much. She is just there for the party. Now while that is a criticism of mine, that shouldn't ultimately be a criticism of everyone. Just keep in mind that, you know, sometimes most characters don't always have to do something. They often have a very laid-back characterization, and that is something that I can put time to whenever it comes to saying this character is really good for the party just in combat power. So there's that. That's one of my complaints. I think another one. That's one of my complaints. I think another one of my major complaints, especially when it came to this season, is that it constantly makes me feel like Belle is not really achieving the goals that he wants to achieve. In the past season, we got to see, you know, them being able to gain a lot of things via defeating Apollo, and then also him also getting another party member in Haruhime by defeating the Ishtar Familia, and then basically him kind of coming to terms that he's not always the strongest. But this season really hit hard on the fact that he is definitely not the strongest. While that is both a criticism, that is also a compliment. One of the things that I don't like most about in anime, or in most manga, especially shonen, is due to its nature of the main character always seemingly having the, you know, really overpowered everything. And while Belle can definitely hit above his weight class sometimes that's not the only thing that you can do. Sometimes you just gotta lose, and because you lose, it gives this character a little bit more beef. It gives you show, because when we see Belle against Aiz, it's not an equal fight for obvious reasons. Belle is always on the defense. When Belle fights Asterius, obviously him losing goes to show he's not the strongest, that there are much bigger fish in the sea. And if you end up reading some of the backstories, especially if you're reading Sword Arturia, or if you end up reading the Freya Chronicles, or if you're reading the Ryu Chronicles, much like I am trying to right now, you'll learn that Belle is not a big fish. He is definitely one of many within the pond. He's definitely growing at an exponential rate, but one of those big things about growing at an exponential rate is that you're still not at that same level as some of the other people that walk around that city. So both a criticism, but also a comment. I really do like that aspect, but it hurts. It hurts a lot when you see what is your favorite character just losing the entirety of that season. I believe somebody posted a meme on the Reddit where it's just basically somebody with a baseball bat hitting with what looks like to be like a bunny, like just a line drawing of like a slightly bunny version of Belle, and somebody taking a bat to the side of it, and the bat reading what is basically season 3, and the bunny creature saying Belle's mental health, which I thought was really funny. But yeah, that's one of those things. I really liked it, and it was actually just one of the really exceptional pieces when it comes to this entirety of the series. I really do hope that Fujino Omori, his family, his friends, and as well as everyone at JC staff are well and healthy, and I really do look forward to hearing the announcement for season 4, should there be one, and also I cannot wait to see where the rest of this series goes. I really did enjoy season 3. It was probably one of the best seasons out of this entire series, in my honest to God opinion. And to start off this year, I would like to talk to all of you, because this is going to be a very difficult year, especially for me, production-wise, in discussing how to be an adventurer and all that fun stuff. I do want to thank all of you. I want to thank all my patrons. I want to thank everyone who showed me time, passion, and love. I want to thank all of our fans over on the D6 Dawnright channel who have been enjoying our D&D content, and I really hope that we have an exceptional year this year. I don't know what the future holds, as this is definitely Tuesday, and I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I do love all of you. You guys have supported me for the past 6 years, doing this, making content, having fun, enjoying ourselves, and doing things that we've always wanted to do. And so I cannot wait to do more for all of you. You've all made me extremely happy. You guys have been huge supporters, and we are on the verge of 100,000 subscribers, so I really cannot wait to see where this channel goes in the near future. So, that being noted, I want to thank you guys all very much for watching, and as always, I hope to see you guys in the next video.